If I asked you to tell me who you are without mentioning your wife once, could you do it? Because most men can't, and that's exactly why she's not attracted anymore.
We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. It's Frame Friday, boys. The episode of the week that is the most important, but the episode of the week that gets the least amount of views. So many men neglect working on what's up here because they're too focused on getting that sweet, sweet punani. Okay. But the thing is, once you work on what's up here, getting and keeping that sweet punani is so much easier, but nobody wants to do the work, sadly. Today's episode is based on a Wolfpack conversation the other day. Brother Omega, he's going hard on reading the Holy Trinity of dating books, which is, if you guys don't know, How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne, Atomic Attraction by Christopher Canwell, and Dating Essentials for Men by Dr. Robert Glover. He's also reading No More Mr. Nice Guy, and I believe he's going through Psychology Paradigm and A Dominant Masculine Presence as well, just on repeat for the next 6 months, okay? Another guy in the group revealed how frustrated he is that his situation with his wife isn't turning around, and he was feeling powerless in his relationship. And the longer the conversation went on, other guys jumped in, some guys offering suggestions, some expressing the same frustrations. But the real gem in that conversation came when one of the brothers mentioned something that I've been saying on the podcast a lot, for months now. Okay. He said, I can tell you everything about your wife, but I don't know a damn thing about you. The guy who said that learned it from a coach he worked with in the past and said that when he first heard that, it was a real wake-up call that he had her on a pedestal and hadn't done anything to better himself in years. The guy who is getting frustrated is still locked up in the paradigm of covert contracts. Okay. Everything he's doing to try to get his wife to change, to try to get his wife to do something, to try to get a specific response from his wife. He's not truly doing it for himself, okay? The paradox is the more you try to get her to change, the further your relationship is going to erode. The less you do for her and the more you do for yourself, the better the chance you have of turning things around, okay? So today we're going to be talking about the mindset required to do that because it's easier said than done because of our paradigms, all right? Before we get into that, though, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. So I mentioned the paradigm, okay? The problem isn't necessarily your wife or your girlfriend or whatever it is you're trying to do to turn things around, okay? The problem isn't her, it's your paradigm, okay? Most men are trying to fix their wives instead of transforming the mindset that created the problem. I'm just letting you take that in for a second, okay? You can't solve attraction from a paradigm built on validation seeking and approval addiction, okay? That's what got you there in the first place. So doubling down on the stuff that got you there in the first place isn't going to work. Okay. It's not going to work. You've got to fundamentally change how you move through this relationship because you doing what you've always done is going to keep getting you the results that you've always gotten. All right. You feel me, dog? All right, cool. Guys, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So what are paradigms? Okay. I talk about it a lot. I wrote an entire book on it. If you guys haven't gotten it, the whole book is about rewiring your subconscious to act differently. Okay. So your subconscious runs on this old code, old programs that have been absorbed into your subconscious since you were a kid. Okay. Stuff like religion, things that your parents taught you, culture, TV shows, right? One of the things that I like to talk about on the podcast, what is up with my beard? Jesus Christ. Anyway, one of the things I like to talk about on the podcast is how back when I was married, my paradigm around marriage was very much like this. And it's probably very much like a vast majority of guys who are in dead bedroom situations. Okay. It is everything's hot and heavy in the beginning. You marry the girl, things are good in the beginning, and then you have kids, and then you have kids, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket after that, right? Everything goes to hell in a handbasket after that. And then you are just supposed to be miserable for the rest of your life. Okay. And then, like, if you look at television, it reinforces that paradigm. Your dad's probably acted that way. Your grandpa probably acted that way. Your uncles probably act that way. All your friends probably act that way. All the guys at church probably act that way. And then you turn on the TV and you got shows like Married with Children, where Al Bundy is this miserable guy who's, a wage earner, and that's his whole job, is to just be a plow horse for the family and be miserable. Okay. That's not how life has to be. Okay. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's wired into our paradigm that that's normal. That's normal. And the only thing that wakes guys up is the fact that their girls aren't banging them anymore. But then their girls gaslight them into thinking that's normal. Oh, it's normal for sex to fade over time. Oh, it's a hormone issue. Whatever excuse she has to not bang you, she's going to use it if she doesn't find you attractive. Okay. So you'll keep repeating the same patterns no matter how hard you try until you rewire what's up here. Okay. Until you fundamentally change your deep-seated, ineffective paradigms. Okay. That's what this book is for. Psychology Paradigm. Okay. So awareness is step one. You can't change anything until you're aware of the problem. It's one of the reasons why I think one of the 12 steps, like I think the first step in 12-step programs for addiction is admitting you have a problem, right? Because awareness is step one. You can't change what you refuse to believe, okay? If you're like, no, this is how life's supposed to be, you're just going to keep acting that way. Okay. So becoming aware of your self-sabotaging patterns is how you realize you need to change them. It starts with awareness. Okay. Because once you're aware of what you're doing wrong, continuing to do it is now a choice. Okay. You can choose not to keep going down this path that you're on, but you have to be aware of what's not working. Okay. And oftentimes, the particular guy who was, basically saying he was feeling powerless in his relationship, you can tell that he's not quite doing the work. You can tell. And one of the ways I could tell this was that someone was telling him that he needs to use the Luca model of communication to talk to his wife, which is something we talk about a lot in Wolfpack. It's in this book. It's in this book. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in this book. Okay. Like I beat to death using all the assertive communication tools, like fogging, negative inquiry, all that kind of stuff. I beat that kind of stuff to death in these books. I talk about the Luca model ad nauseum because repetition is the mother of skill. Okay. The more you listen to this stuff, the more you tune into the podcast, the more you hear this information, the more we talk about it. Wolfpack, the more that seeps into your subconscious. Okay. There's a method to my madness here. But someone mentioned Luca model, which we talk about all the time in Wolfpack. And he goes, can someone give me an example of Luca again? And I just replied to that. I go, tell me you haven't read any of my books without telling me. Like it's described in detail in all my books. All you have to do is grab it on Audible and listen to it. Okay. It's effortless learning. All right. But awareness is step one. Okay. And then you got to stop living on autopilot. Now, this is the problem with your paradigms is 95% of your actions in life are habit-based. You do it without any conscious thought. You do it on autopilot, right? And that's why you're not getting the results you want, because you're on autopilot, still doing the stuff that you've been programmed to do since you were a kid. That's ineffective when it comes to relationships. This classic nice guy programming, right? So you got to stop living on autopilot. And most men are, when they're dealing with their wives, they're reacting to their wife's behavior instead of acting from a position of authority, from a position of leadership, from conviction. They're just walking around, seeing what she does, and then acting based on what she's doing. Okay. In order to strengthen your frame and reclaim that position of leadership in the relationship, you've got to control your inner world. You've got to stop paying attention to what she's doing at all. Just stop. Okay. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but if she's not banging you right now, you don't owe her anything. Okay. So she's not banging you right now. You need to start focusing on you. Okay. Because one of the reasons why she's not banging you is because you're an unattractive guy. So you need to just focus on being more attractive first before trying to get her to bang you again. That needs to be your prime focus. Going to the gym, dressing better, smelling better, all that kind of stuff. Losing 10, 15 pounds. Okay. Whatever. All right. Now, guys, let me ask you this. All right. This is really bothering me. It's like, it's just not symmetrical. Okay. There we go. If she walked out on you tomorrow, if your girl walked out on you tomorrow, would you still know who you are? Let me know in the chat or the comments if you're watching the replay. If your girl ended the relationship tomorrow, would you be a shell of a man, not knowing how to even move forward with your life? And I'm not crapping on you if you would be like, I don't know who I am. I wouldn't know, right? Because you've put your identity into the relationship. I've been there. You know what I mean? Like, I've been there. Even when my now ex-wife, when I found out that she filed for divorce, like, it crushed me. It crushed me, even though I hated her. I didn't like her that much. I didn't like being in the same room with her most of the time. She annoyed the shit out of me. My identity was in that relationship. And when she ended it, it was really hard. Right. And then same thing with Red Pill Chick. Red Pill Chick was even worse when that relationship ended. And I had to end that relationship because she was acting so bad at the end. But I remember for a full week, at least a full week after that breakup, I was just going through the motions at work. Otherwise, and I was working remotely. I would go lay down on the couch and because I could barely even breathe. I would just sit there and just focus on my breathing because I could barely even breathe, when that happened. And that's like, it was crushing. Okay. And I'm being vulnerable with you right now, but for a reason. Okay. I didn't know who I was outside of those relationships. And it wasn't until after Red Pill Chick that I started deep diving and studying the stuff and reprogramming what was up here. Okay. And I've been doing it ever since. The work never stops. Okay. I'm still doing it. So let's talk about frame, because it is Frame Friday. Okay. What is frame? Frame is the lens you see the world through. Okay. Now, when it comes to dead bedroom situations, trying to turn your relationship around, okay, two men can face rejection from their wives in completely different ways. Okay. She will act the same way, but two guys will act completely different because of their frame, how they're seeing the situation. Okay. One guy will completely collapse. The other guy is going to use that as feedback and learn and adapt. Like, okay, something's not right here. He's not mad at her. He's like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? something needs to change. Okay. Whatever it is I'm doing isn't working. Right. The difference is the mindset about it. Right. One of the things that I really try to harp on guys is that there's no such thing as winning or losing. There's winning and learning. Okay. The last time I put that out on the internet, some internet smartass was like, okay, well, the other day I didn't lose my dog. I learned him. Like, okay. if that's your response to a statement like that, you're probably on the spectrum. You're probably got other things going on. You're probably a little spurgy. You know what I mean? Anyway, but try to have that mentality, right? There's no such thing as winning or losing. There's winning and learning. Okay. You want to treat all this stuff like a science experiment. You want to treat everything with a woman like a science experiment. Okay. Especially if you're trying to turn the relationship around, you want to treat it like a science experiment. Okay. Test what works. We'll get into that more. But that's more of a fixed versus growth frame, right? A fixed frame says there's nothing I can do. I'm a victim. Life just happens to me. A growth frame it says I'm in control of my life and what happens in it. If I'm not getting the results I want, only I can do something about it. Okay. Every challenge tests whether your frame is brittle or forged in fire. Okay. But that's one thing that guys really need to embrace. Okay. Because they're all trying, a lot of guys, especially when they first come here and they get her to fuck you again. And, they get the Passive Dread Blueprint course. They're trying to fix their wives. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself and how you show up. Okay. And that's another paradox when it comes to relationship dynamics. You can't change her. You can only change you. Okay. So you have to stop living in her frame. This might be a short episode if I'm burning through all this. And this goes to the hook of the show, like when I first opened it up. Okay. If you can talk for 30 minutes about what she's doing wrong, but can't explain what you believe, what you value, or what you want in the relationship, and that's the most important thing about frame is figuring out what the fuck do you want, right? Your identity is basically orbiting hers. Okay. In my new book that's coming out in December, actually it's going to drop on Black Friday. Okay. Keep your bitch. I talk a lot about gravity and orbit. Okay. Because I'm using like space as a reference point. Okay. You have to be the center of gravity in the relationship, and she's got to be the moon that orbits around you. You understand? That's how the dynamic needs to work for it to be a healthy relationship with lots of polarity. Okay. But if you can't explain what's going on in your relationship without talking about what she's doing, you're orbiting her. Okay. You're her moon. You've got her on a pedestal. Okay. You've made her the planet Earth and you're the moon. Okay. So step one to regaining polarity is pulling her off that pedestal and recentering your life around you. And that often means pulling away. Okay. So like I said before, if your wife's not banging you, pull away. Okay. Because attraction grows in space. I talk about this a lot. Brother, it's funny listening to Brother Omega because he's on this mission, right? He's been doing this for weeks now. He's been listening to all these books on repeat, and all the things in the books these are all the books that I've studied like on repeat, right? All the things that he's doing right now are all the things that I've been doing for years. Okay. And it's funny when he goes, when Paul talks about, having tension in the relationship and heat and stuff like that, he's like, yeah, I can hear that. I can hear that in Atomic Attraction. I can hear that in Dating Essentials for Men. I'm like, yeah, that's where I get this shit. Okay. I didn't make this stuff up. All right. I learned from other people, but attraction grows in space. Okay. You need a little bit of healthy emotional anticipation and tension. Now that is an acronym I came up with. Okay. Still based on a concept I learned from Dr. Robert Glover though. But you got to think of it like a line. Okay. Now this is something I learned from Christopher Canwell, Omega, right? You got to think of your relationship like a line. Okay. When it's healthy, when there's healthy emotional anticipation and tension, the line is taut. Okay. That's keeping you guys together. That's attraction. All right. When you guys get too familiar with each other, you guys get complacent, you start treating her like your best friends instead of lovers and shit like that. Like, attraction dies in close proximity. It dies in familiarity, right? So the line goes slack, and she doesn't want to fuck you anymore. There's no sexual tension there, right? So what women instinctually do is they'll pull back. They'll stop wanting to have sex with you. Okay, that's a sign. That's a warning sign that you need to pull back too a little bit. Okay. Because what most guys do is they chase her. Oh, what's wrong? They try to fix her feelings and shit. And that just keeps the line slack, and it keeps her wanting to move further away to try to reintroduce some tension. And you just keep chasing her ass. Okay. You need to pull back too. Start focusing on you for a little bit. Okay. Let her come to you. You need to become the earth, and she needs to become the moon. Okay. All right. Until you can do that, until you can recenter your life around you, every move you make is reactionary. Okay. It's not masculine leadership. You're not setting the tone. All right. So this is why for these books, okay, the Red Pill Guide series and the new book that's coming out in December is the last book in the series. Okay. I've created workbooks that go hand in hand with these things. Now, a lot of guys tell me, like, when they get the book, they're like, oh, I didn't know there was a workbook. Okay. That's because you guys are skipping. You guys are tell me you're not reading like the acknowledgments and the professional disclaimer. Okay. Because at the beginning of these books, I have a QR code. Okay. Before you turn the page, read this. That QR code will lead you to the workbook that goes hand in hand with this book. Okay. If you're listening on Audible, I read that out loud, okay? And I tell you, go to workbook.getoveryourx.us or workbook.fixdeadbedrooms.com. Those are the respective workbooks for Get Her to Fuck You Again and Forget That Bitch, okay? But I say that on the audio edition, so if you guys are just skipping ahead to chapter 1 or whatever, you're missing that part. But there's workbooks that go with this, okay? So the things about the workbooks, the reason why I made workbooks for this, one was because I had a dead bedroom client, a one-on-one dead bedroom client, when Get Her to Fuck You Again came out. And he goes, do you have a workbook that goes with that? Because, man, that would be really helpful. Like this book is really, really good. And it'd be helpful to like have workbooks that go with it. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And so that's why if you get the workbook for Get Her to Fuck You Again, like I think I dedicated it to that guy. I didn't use his name though. I always keep my clients anonymous, but also what's cool about it is it forces you to reflect on what you are doing or not doing. There's daily prompts. There's 3 prompts a day. Takes you about 10, 15 minutes of work a day because a lot of you guys just don't want to do the work, right? Well, if you get the workbook, it forces you to sit down and evaluate what's going on with you. Now, sometimes there's questions on how did she respond, but it's more about collecting data than it is to, focus on her. Okay. It's more about treating everything like a science experiment. Okay. But it forces you to sit down and pull out of your subconscious what's not working. Okay. I can tell you, I mentioned it before, but I can tell you that one of the guys that mentioned Luca in the chat and asked for examples, like it's in the book. It's in the book. Get the book. Get this book. Okay. If you are seriously trying to turn your relationship around and you're struggling and you're frustrated, get the fucking book either on Audible or if you like to read, like get a paperback or hardcover or whatever. Okay. Highlight it if you have to, whatever. But most guys, all they have to do is listen to it on Audible on repeat. Okay. Do that. Get the workbook that goes with it if you really want to get results. and do them hand in hand. Okay. But you got to figure out, what do you want and how bad do you want it? Okay. We were talking about this on Tuesday's episode, or not Tuesday's, Tuesday's sponsored video, right? When the guy who sponsored that video wanted to know, like, he wanted a video on what to do when you're falling off. And one of the things I told him is, like, you have to act with intention daily, right? Not whether you feel like it or not, you're not waiting to be motivated to do something. You have to act with intention daily. Forcing yourself to listen to these audiobooks and forcing yourself to do the exercises in the workbook is acting with intention daily. Okay. All right. Don't just lurk in forums or groups and chats and just hope you absorb this shit through osmosis. You're not going to. Okay. You have to do the work. Right. Now, speaking of books, I did mention my new book is dropping. I just uploaded the Kindle edition last night to Amazon. I'm still waiting on approval, but if you guys are curious about that, let me give you a little taste of what's in store. You finally got her back. The spark's alive again. Or you met someone new and everything feels effortless. Right now, anyway. But deep down, most men lose it right after they win it. They stop setting the tone, start coasting, and attraction slowly dies in silence. That's what kills 90% of relationships: complacency. She doesn't stop loving you overnight. She just stops feeling you. And if you think loyalty alone keeps her interested, you're already slipping. Now that you've turned your relationship around with get her to fuck you again, or you moved on and found a real contender after forget that bitch, you need to know how to keep that attraction burning for the long haul. Introducing the next book in the Red Pill Guide series, Keep Your Bitch, coming this December. It's not about saving failing relationships. It's about never letting one fail again. You'll learn how to lead with frame, maintain polarity, and keep her obsessing over you year after year. Because attraction isn't permanent, it's maintained daily. Stay the man she fell for. Stay the man she can't stop thinking about. Keep Your Bitch. Available this December. Indeed. Like I said, this is also going to have a workbook with it. The workbook's uploaded to Amazon also. And it's weird when it comes to publishing this stuff. It's kind of a chicken or the egg situation, because I have to put QR codes. I have to put a QR code in the workbook that sends you to the real book if you haven't read that yet. And then in the real book, I have to put a QR code to the workbook so that you have the workbook to go hand in hand with it. So it requires one be published before the other. And typically that means I'm going to be publishing the workbook here probably this afternoon. I'm going to publish the workbook and submit that to approval and just have it out there. And then you'll just have to wait until the 28th, until Black Friday, to get the full book and stuff like that. But anyway, brother David from Wolfpack's like, is there going to be a workbook for this? Yes, there's going to be a workbook for this. Although I was talking to Nurse Chick about it. Making these workbooks, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I think the Red Pill Guide series is going to have workbooks. I don't know if I'm going to do workbooks for future books, but I have a whole list of book ideas coming. Like, so my next book that I have the outline for, and I'm going to start writing for this in January and hopefully have it ready for next summer, is going to be called Dick Her Down Right. And it's going to be a book on sex and sexual techniques and how to blow your girl's mind. Because if you could dick a girl down right, she'll forget all your bullshit. Okay. That's the goal of that book. Okay. So let's talk about being your own mental point of origin. Okay. So this is a very prominent red pill concept. I think like Rollo Tomasi's one that really came up with this, but you have to become the center of your own decision-making process. Like every choice should serve your best outcome, not necessarily her comfort. Okay. Basically, you got to look at every situation as what's in it for me. What's in it for me? Okay. because masculinity begins where self-abandonment ends. And what I mean by self-abandonment is most guys are looking, we've been trained our whole lives to be protectors and providers. We've been trained our whole lives to sacrifice ourselves for everybody, right? And so what do most guys end up doing is they become dutiful plow horses in the relationship. And that's great, that's great. But when someone's done with a plow horse, what do they do with it? They send it to the glue factory. Okay. When your girl's done with you, she's going to divorce your ass. Okay. Or she's going to cheat on you. Okay. Those are your two options when you become nothing but a dutiful plow horse. I just saw an article on Facebook the other day where it said something like 63%. There was some kind of study done that said 63% of women say that being a provider isn't good enough anymore. And guys are in the comments losing their shit about it, right? Losing their shit about it because we've been conditioned our whole lives that that's what our job is, to be providers. But the thing is, with all this equality going on, women don't need providers anymore. They provide for themselves. So what else you got? Okay. Now you can be mad at that, or you can learn some fucking frame and game and become the guy that sets the tone and leads a relationship the way women need. Okay. They need that. They don't necessarily need your money. Okay. But most guys don't know how to do that. They only know how to be the provider. Well, that's the beta side of hypergamy. Okay. So hypergamy is dualistic. It's alpha fucks, beta bucks. And if you don't have any alpha fucks traits and you're only the provider, you're beta bucks guy, she's going to use you. She's going to use you for your resources, and that's it. And then you're not going to get anything in return. You're going to go, I don't understand. I was a good provider. Okay. So stop doing that shit. Okay. You have to look at everything as what's in it for me first. Okay. That's being your own mental point of origin. Now, bro in the group, he said, when someone said, said all this kind of stuff, he's like, yeah, I'm going to work on being a selfish prick. Okay. That's not necessarily what being your own mental point of origin is about. Okay. And thinking that way is going to create a lot of resistance for you to get there. It's going to create a lot of resistance. Why? Because the concept of being a selfish prick is negative. It's got a negative connotation. You're going to look at it like it's the wrong thing to do, and you're going to resist it. Okay. You're going to resist it. You'll never get there with that attitude. Okay. It's not about being a selfish prick. Okay. It's more about enlightened self-interest. And the best way to describe it is the airplane analogy. Okay. When you get on an airplane, what do the stewardesses tell you to do in the event that oxygen masks come down? Do they say, make sure you put it on your kids and your wife first so that they're good? No, they say, put your oxygen mask on you first before you help others. The reason being is because you can't help others when you're passed out on the fucking floor, right? So that's enlightened self-interest. You have to help you first before you can help other people. So that's really what it's about. It's not about being a selfish prick. It's about putting yourself in a position where you can better help people should you want to. Okay. But once you get there, okay, you're going to find that you're going to transition from a place of neediness to more of a place of purpose. Okay. This is why I talk about acting with intention. Okay. But neediness is the death of attraction. So you trying to do everything to try to get a reaction out of her, doing covert contract stuff, trying to get her to like you more by doing more for her, that comes across to her as needy behavior, and it's unattractive. So a lot of things that we talk about in this space comes down to be attractive, don't be unattractive. Okay. Be attractive is your looks, right? Losing weight, making sure that you're fit. You have a little bit of muscle definition. You make sure you get your hair cut every 2 weeks. You smell good. You dress with clothes that fit and that, sort of work well with your frame and stuff like that. That's be attractive. Okay. That's being cocky and funny and playful and banter and learning all that kind of stuff. That's be attractive. Don't be unattractive is your behavior. Okay. Are you reactionary? Are you being needy? All that kind of stuff is unattractive behavior. And we want to eliminate that, because if the more you keep doing that, the less your wife's going to want to fuck you. Right. So a man driven by mission radiates grounded confidence. His energy becomes magnetic because he's not seeking approval. Right. He's going this way. She sees that you're making a really fucking awesome life for yourself, and she wants to get on board that train. Right? That's how it works. It's just that most guys are so focused on what she's doing, they can never get in the train and start going forward. Right? They're still back here wherever the fuck she is, in women world doing fucking chaos and shit. You got to cut that out. You got to start focusing on you. Okay. And that's why in Red Pill Space, it always starts with the gym, because it's the easiest thing to do. It's the fastest place to start seeing results. When you start losing a pound a week or 2 pounds a week, okay, especially if you're overweight, that motivates you. It motivates you to keep going. Like, that's your goal, not trying to get her to do anything. You're like, fuck it. I'm working on losing 20 pounds, right? So the more you do that, the more you can start seeing results in the mirror, the more that reinforces your mission, the more that keeps you going forward. Okay. It's ends up being a positive feedback loop. Okay. Guys, if you get value out of any of these episodes, do consider sending a super chat. I believe I've been officially demonetized permanently on Facebook. I don't think I'm ever getting that back. So I'm not making any money on Facebook. I just got banned from X. So not making any money from X, although they weren't paying me that much anyway. So really, a brother's got to work over here. I'm shucking and jiving. If you guys are getting value out of this, do consider sending a ducat or two. Okay. So I talked about starting to move forward. Okay. So that action builds confidence. You don't think your way into confidence. You need to act your way into it. Repeated, decisive action reshapes the paradigm of doubt into one of self-trust. Okay. Because like I said, as you're knocking out these goals, especially with fitness, that's going to boost your confidence because you're hitting your goals consistently. You're just acting with intention daily. You're like, I fucking did something. That's something to be proud of. That boosts your confidence, right? If you are like, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to listen to Get Her to Fuck You Again on repeat on Audible, and I'm going to grab the workbook and I'm going to sit down, and the workbook's good for 3 months. Okay. For the next 3 months, while you're listening to the audiobook, you're going to sit down daily with intention and write out the prompts. It's 3 questions a day. It take you 10, 15 minutes, but you knocking that out and you listening to this and you going to the gym, you're checking boxes off. Okay. You're taking action intentionally. Okay. And you're not paying attention to what your wife's doing. Okay. You're just doing that. Keep it simple. Okay. But that action is going to build your confidence, because as you're listening to stuff, as you're doing this stuff, it's rewiring what's up here. And then at the same time, you're going to the gym. Those sneezes sneak up on you. At the same time, you're going to the gym. It's just compounding. It's just a positive feedback loop of winning, 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 winning. And the more you win, the more confident you get. The more confident you get, the more it shows up in your physiology and your body language, how you just show up in general. That's magnetic, bro. Okay. You have to detach from the outcomes. Okay. When your emotions hinge on her reaction, she feels it. She feels it and she wants to pull away. She doesn't want her emotions to be able to sway you at all. She doesn't. That's why women shit test you, to see if they can get a reaction out of you, to see if they can get you in your emotions, because once they get you in your emotions, they control you, and they don't want to control you because they're like, fuck, if I can do, right? What if something bad happens? He's not going to make good decisions because he's going to be too emotional, right? So you have to let go of any kind of attachment to outcome. You want to, what I like to call, you want to be lovingly detached. You want to develop loving detachment in your relationship. That doesn't mean you don't love her. Okay. It just means that you're not so focused on trying to fix her all the time. And if she's mad at you, you don't let it bother you. You're like, oh, well, whatever. I don't own that. Right. The other day, I'll tell you in my relationship with Nurse Chick had a really bad day. She went down to Junction, for the day, and she had a bunch of bad stuff happen. I'm not going to get into it, but she comes back, and I could just tell that she's in a bad mood. Okay, so what I did was I went and I got her. She has these Cutwater margarita drinks that she likes. I got her one of those. I said, "Can I interest you in an adult beverage? It looks like you could use one." Right? That's all. Now, if she was like pissy with me or, which she never is, but if she was, and she was like, I don't want to talk about it, I'd be like, okay, cool. All right, well, I'm over here if you need me. And then I'm lovingly detached enough that I'm not trying to fucking fix her feelings. I'm not trying to make her happy all the time. Right? I did my part. Here's your drink. You either take it or you don't. Okay. That's loving detachment. Like I can see that you have a bad day, and I'm recognizing that. Here's an adult beverage. Okay, my job's done. Okay. If you go to do something for your girl, do it because you like doing those things. I'm going to say this again. If you go to do something for your girl, do it because you like doing it, or because it needs to be done. Okay. If you're doing things for your girl you don't like, stop it immediately. Okay. Stop it. If you're doing anything for her and you fucking hate it, tell her, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. And when she asks why, you don't need to give her an explanation. I'm just not doing it. Okay. Because when you go to do stuff for your girl that you fucking hate doing, and then you're hoping that gets you some kind of fucking brownie points, and then you don't get those brownie points, you're going to be pissed at her, and that's going to build resentment. Okay. And then that resentment is going to further show up as negativity in your relationship. She's going to pull away more because she can feel that. Women are very good at seeing your body language and your facial expressions and your side eyes and your fucking eye rolls and whatever the fuck you're doing. She can see it in your body language. Okay. So you got to eliminate that stuff. That's what we call a covert contract. Covert contract is doing something to get something. Not doing something because you want to do it. Not doing something because it needs to be done, because you're trying to get something from her. A reaction, trying to get sex. You're trying to get something from her. And when she doesn't give it to you, it builds resentment. So if you're doing anything you don't fucking like, stop it. Stop it now. If she likes what you're doing, awesome. If she doesn't like what you're doing, perfect. Okay. This is loving detachment. You don't give a shit about her reaction to stuff. Okay. You're just doing it because it needs to be done or because you want to do it. Right. If she likes it, awesome. If she doesn't, fine. Great. Okay. You can't control her reactions or her emotions, nor should you try. It's not your job. Okay. Her reactions are her problem. Her emotions are her problem, not yours. Don't own that shit. Okay. The paradox, there's a lot of paradoxes in all this stuff. It's counterintuitive. All this stuff's counterintuitive. Is why most guys won't even try this shit. Okay. The more you detach, the less needy you become. The less needy you become, the more attractive you become. There's a method to the madness. I hope AI clips that, because that was solid. That's solid advice right there. Okay. You guys need to start looking at rejection. Like, let's say you do go to initiate sex and she rejects you. You need to look at it like feedback, not failure. Okay. This goes back to being lovingly detached. It also goes more towards something that I talk about a lot in dating, right? And I mentioned it earlier, treating everything like a science experiment. Something I learned from Dr. Robert Glover in Dating Essentials for Men. When I stopped trying to make something happen when I was dating and started treating everything like a dating experiment, dating became fun. Dating became fun. A lot of guys hate dating. They end up in relationships they shouldn't be in because they just got to get off the dating circuit. They fucking hate it, right? Well, That's because they're trying to make something happen. And when it doesn't happen the way they're hoping it happens, it's frustrating, right? They get really frustrated about it. That's why you got to be lovingly detached and treat everything like a science experiment. Okay. You're just collecting data. A good scientist isn't focused on getting one specific result. They form a hypothesis and they test the hypothesis. If the hypothesis can't be disproven, they raise it to a theory. Perfect. When it comes to red pill praxeology, that becomes a tool in your toolbox. Okay. That worked. I'm going to use that again. Okay. If the hypothesis is disproven, great. Form another hypothesis. Okay. Now, when it comes to getting your wife to fuck you again, if you try to do flirty stuff or whatever, and she's still not fucking you, what does the data tell you? You're still not being attractive enough to inspire her desire. Okay. One of the things that I learned from Corey Wayne, and I made sure to put it in the new book, is the concept of an attraction scale. Okay. Corey Wayne didn't invent this, but I think I read it. This is really bothering me. I learned it from Corey Wayne, but I think I read it first in Doc Love's book. Doc Love had a book called The System, and he talked about the attraction scale, and Corey got it from Doc Love. But I put it in Keep Your Bitch, which is the new book, and I simplified it. It's super simple, okay? Basically, attraction exists on a sliding scale of 1 to 10, right? Where 1 is she fucking doesn't even know you exist, and 10 is she's madly in love with you. When you first meet a girl and you're charming and whatever, and you ask for her number, her attraction's at about a 5 or a 6, okay? If she wasn't at a 5 or a 6, she wouldn't even give you her number. Okay. That means that's 4 and below. 4 and below, you're wasting your time. The woman's just not into you. Okay. So 5 or 6 is interest in like initial attraction. You can raise that, okay, by being playful, by being cocky funny, by handling her tests and stuff like that. That's how the attraction scale goes up. Right. So 5 to 6 is like initial attraction. And then you have like 7 or 8. That's where making out and sex happens. But around 7 or 8, sex and making out happens there. Right. And 9 or 10, she's madly in love with you. She wants your attention all the fucking time. She jumps in your arms when you come home, all this kind of stuff. That's 9 or 10. That's where you want to keep her. You want to keep her there. That's what Keep Your Bitch is all about. Keeping her at the 9 or a 10 attraction scale. Okay. Now, if she's not fucking you, she's slipped down below the 6, below the 6 to 8 area. Okay. She might still be at a 5 or a 6, right? Especially if she hasn't filed for divorce or hasn't cheated on you yet. She's probably still around a 5 or a 6. Once it drops below 5, you're fucked. You're fucked. Okay. There's no recovering that. All right. So if she's not fucking you at a 7, like she's not in the 6 to 8 range. Okay. She might be in the 5 or 6 range. All right. But if your flirtiness and shit is not getting her to have sex, there's something else you need to do. Okay. You need to stop doing that shit for a while. You need to stop trying to flirt with her. You need to stop trying to push for sex. You need to stop trying to initiate sex at all. Okay. It's just not working. So stop it. Just stop. You're wasting your time. Okay. Pull back your time and attention. Focus on the gym. Focus on your mindset. Listen to some of these books. Listen to these books on repeat. Do the workbooks for a while. Okay. The workbooks are 3 months. Okay. It's 12-week workbooks. Once you're done with the workbook, try again. Okay. Try again. She's not fucking you anyway. So what's the rush? Right? Like, what's the rush? Okay. Just focus on this shit for a while. Do the workbook and all that stuff. By the time you're done, if you've been listening to the audiobooks on repeat and doing the workbook every day for 3 months, you're not going to be the same guy at the end of 3 months. Okay. If you keep listening to the audiobook after that, you're not going to be the same guy in 6 months. Okay. And that's the goal, because the guy that got you into the dead bedroom is not going to be the guy that gets you out of it. You have to become a different guy. Okay. Just be yourself. Right. That's what women's dating and relationship advice is just be yourself in communication. Right. It doesn't work. Okay. It doesn't work. Because if it did work, just being yourself worked, you wouldn't be in a dead bedroom situation, right? So you've got to fundamentally change who the fuck you are, okay? Anyway, by the way, I've been mentioning a lot. This whole thing has been based on a back and forth in the Wolf Pack, okay? The Wolf Pack is my men's group. It's only $10 a month. If you're trying to work on this stuff and you guys need to bounce ideas off of other guys that are either working on it or have gone through it, get in the Wolf Pack, okay? It's only $10 a month. You'll spend more going to McDonald's these days than joining the Wolf Pack, and McDonald's isn't going to save your marriage, okay? So it's time to run with the wolves, brother.
Beer club? Not anymore.
Wolf Pack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not ever. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
For the love of God, somebody too sweet me. Nurse Chick's in the house. Hold on a second. We got a whole bunch of people in the chat. I've been largely ignoring the chat. This is going to be a long episode. I thought it was going to be short, but it's not. Nurse Chick's here.
So naughty.
She is.
I'm gonna come.
I definitely will. Nurse Chick and I were watching Luke Cage, right? Watching Luke Cage in season 2. One of the guys in there, he goes, "Damn, that pussy must be ridiculous." I got to get that as a soundbite. Brother Nathan's here. What's up, man? I love having Nathan in the chat again because he blows up the chat like crazy. Buy one of Paul's books, then get my book and Nurse Chick's book. Yes, and great holiday shopping. And I was edging the algorithm. Let's see here. Is Nurse Chick doing the edging? I wish. No, she went back home. I kicked her out. I said, "Get out of here." I said, "Go on, get now." I said, let me help you pack those bags. Go on, get, girl. Anyway, no, it's my week with my son. Anyway, it says, looks like you have a second to jump on Amazon and buy some books. This guy says, let's go, brother. Yep. Sup. Nate says, let's crush a Friday. And Omega says, I'm here listening in. I got my appointment with my men's clinic doc at the top of the hour here. I hope it goes well, man. Hope you get good news. Beast mode in the house. Nathan, how goes it? Okay, you guys are just fucking talking. Okay, let's see here. Eric Von Eric says, good morning. Erkin's in the house. Good day, folks. Dar Fitness in the house. What's up, guys? If you guys need a personal trainer, if you guys need help, if you guys are trying to do like the keto diet, it's just not working, hit up my man Dar Fitness here, okay? And let's see here. Wolfpack is lit. If you're not in there, gentlemen, you're truly missing out. This guy Omega he's a fucking inspiration. He's going, like I said, he's going on this journey of listening to the shit on repeat for the next 6 months, and he's been doing it for a couple of weeks. You can already tell in his attitude he's a different guy. It's amazing how that works. No stream on Twitter. I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, let's see here. But he was going to appeal. I did appeal, and I haven't heard back from it yet. Yeah. So, and then yes, let's see. Get one of Paul's books, then mine. What's your book? Divorce is War. Yes, Nathan has a new book, Divorce is War. We talked about that on Wednesday's episode, guys. Look that up on Amazon right now. It's not available on audio yet, so I don't know what Nathan's waiting for with that one. But let's see here. James on Facebook says she's fucking someone else. Well, she might be, especially if her attractions drop below a 5. If you've let her attraction drop below a 5, she absolutely might be fucking someone else. All right. I talk about that in Get Her to Fuck You Again. I talk about the betatization process, and it's a 5-stage process. And once you get to the self-determination phase, that's where she's either cheating on you or filing for the divorce papers. So absolutely. Okay, let's talk about emotional regulation equals power. So this is one of the hardest things that I've in my coaching, doing this for years. It's the hardest thing for men to get in check. Their emotional regulation. Now, what's fascinating about this is in the red pill space, where we're supposed to be all these rational guys, right? And women are these emotional creatures that are driven by emotion, and like they don't even know what they do because their emotions, blah, 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 blah. Men are very much controlled by their emotions. And a lot of that, I believe, is because we've all been raised to be nice guys. Okay. We've been raised to be nice guys, and we're led by our emotions a lot. And what women tend to default, like when things aren't going right, women tend to default to sadness. Men default to anger. They get pissed. They get mad at everything. Right. So it's really hard for guys to get that in check, but it's one of the pillars of a strong frame. If you ever read Ryan Stone's book on frame, which I recommend, it's a good book. He talks about the tetrahedron of frame, and there's 3 pillars that support your frame. Your frame is basically your vision. What do you want? What do you want for yourself in life? Okay. And if any of the pillars that are holding up that vision are weak, you're not going to be able to reach that vision. Okay. And emotion is one of the pillars. Okay. If other people can dictate your emotions, you have weak frame. Your pillar's not, the thing supporting your vision is not strong enough to hold it up. Okay. So this is why women instinctively test men, and why men must learn to control their emotions. Now, the funny thing is, like at the beginning of the episode, I always say I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. We may initially be doing this stuff to get better with women, but it will help you in all areas of your life. When you can learn to control your emotions, if you have a death in the family, if you lose your job, you have a natural disaster happen, anything life throws at you, you'll handle it better if you can learn to better regulate your emotions. Okay. One thing that I have learned over the years is really focusing on a positive mental attitude, having a positive mindset about everything as much as possible. And if I catch myself drifting down a negative spiral, I try to snap out of it as soon as I can, because that negativity will just keep pulling you down and things will only get worse. So you have to snap out of that shit and start focusing on positive stuff. That's why I'm a big law of attraction guy. Another book idea that I have, and I'm going to write here, I've got a whole list of books to write, but it's going to be on how understanding law of attraction is the perfect framework for working on your mental frame. Okay. Some of this stuff is developing more of a stoic mindset. Okay. And it's such a powerful thing to develop. And I highly recommend you study stoicism. Okay. But a big part of stoicism is controlling what's in your control. Your effort, discipline, and response. And then let go of anything that you can't. Control the controllable, let go of anything that you can't control. Okay. I did door-to-door office supply sales after the Navy. My first job after the Navy, I was a security guard, but then I stopped doing security for a while and went and did door-to-door office supply sales. And one of the things with that was I had an assistant manager, and I went out with him for the day, and he was showing me, like, he was a hell of a salesman. We went out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and the guy sold probably $10,000 in commissions on office supplies that day to a bunch of podunk people in like cow country. And I was like, how the fuck is this guy doing this? It's amazing. But one of the things that he said always stuck with me, and I still remember it to this day. He said, because I was talking about something I was pissed off about or whatever, I can't remember what it was. And he goes, you know, if you could do something about it right now, why aren't you? And I was like, oh, I can't do anything about it right now. He's like, well, if you can't do anything about it, why worry about it? It's fundamentally changed my life, right? Why, if you can do something about it right now, why aren't you? If you can't, why worry about it? If you can develop that, you'll have less stress in life. You'll have less anxiety, less depression. If you can develop that kind of mentality. And a lot of that is stoicism. Okay. Now, this book, Psychology Paradigm, is really good for this. Also, so is Marcus Aurelius's book on meditations. It was written around 161 to 180 CE or BCE. And if you guys don't know who Marcus Aurelius is, he was a Roman emperor. He was the emperor depicted at the beginning of the movie Gladiator, who was murdered by his son in the movie. He was a real guy. And according to history, a really great emperor. And he really developed the Stoic mindset. And his book on meditations was really him journaling. Like when I talk about you guys sitting down with the workbooks every day, that's what he was doing. But it was just his thoughts on mindset. And it'll fundamentally change how you view the world if you read that book. It's a very good one. Okay. Developing some self-respect, that tends to create more options for you. Okay. So from your work on yourself, going to the gym, dressing better, smelling better, having more confidence, all that kind of stuff, you're going to develop more self-respect. And from self-respect will come more options. And from more options comes authority. Okay. That's leverage. And leverage is the currency of attraction. Okay. What do I mean by options? Does that mean like my man here says, she's fucking someone else? She's fucking someone else. Okay. A lot of this is like passive dread type stuff, right? If you guys don't know passive dread, I have a course on it, and it's a very popular course. Tons of people are jumping on the passive dread, the passive dread train. But passive dread, what I like about passive dread is it's sustainable. It's something that you do out of habit. You do it, without thinking about it. You develop a mindset about it. You program this in. It's not a trick. It's not playing games. Okay. You're becoming such an attractive guy that whenever you go out, people notice. Okay. People notice this, and your girl really notices, because women always have their radar up when it comes to competition. And so when you raise her competition anxiety and she sees that other women are flirting with you and laughing at your jokes and all this kind of stuff, she realizes she's got a good thing and she doesn't want to lose that shit. Okay. Women are very competitive. So lean into that shit. Okay. A lot of I see people online going, oh, this is narcissistic stuff. It's like, yeah, women love narcissists. So lean into that shit. Okay, guys. By the way, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I did get banned from X. Yesterday, I found out that I got suspended from X. What I do every morning on X, what I've been doing for like a couple months now, is one of the first things I do is I get up in the morning, I turn off my my alarm on my phone, and I start scrolling through X, and I start commenting on posts, and then I start quote tweeting some posts, right? Because all that kind of stuff is, the algorithm likes people who are engaging. Well, yesterday I was doing that, and apparently I was doing it too fast or something. And I got a captcha that popped up saying, we think you might be a bot. Can you prove that you're not a bot by doing this captcha? And I was like, okay. So I did the captcha. Everything was fine. And then I just went back to doing what I was doing. Well, apparently they didn't like what I was doing. And next thing I know, I get a thing saying, you're temporarily suspended, right? And I was like, oh, what the fuck, right? Because they're like, we think that you're behaving like a bot. We don't like bots on the platform, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is what I do normally. What are you talking about? So I appealed it. They had an appeal option. I appealed it right there, which is an automated thing, which I think was ran by Grok or something. Well, anyway, they analyzed my stuff, and they're like, no, we're permanently suspending you. And I'm like, the fuck? So then you have to go to Twitter or X's support page and then file another appeal. And so that's what I did. We'll see what happens, but there's a compound problem. That account is really old. I think I set up that original account a decade ago, even before I started doing this stuff. And I repurposed it for the podcast because I already had a following. And I repurposed it for the podcast. And so I had this old Proton Mail email address associated with it. Well, I hadn't logged into that in years. And when you haven't logged into a Proton Mail account after a long time, they get rid of it. So I don't even have access to the email anymore. And apparently that's how they get in contact with you when you do the appeals process. And they can't contact me now. So I probably have lost that account for good. That being said, so far, I'm still on all these other platforms. Although on Facebook, I was in a temporary ban last month. I couldn't run ads on Facebook. Like, people really don't like my message. They don't like red pill content. They don't like men thinking for themselves. Okay. So what I would like you guys to do, besides following me on all the different platforms, I would like for you guys to grab this free ebook. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. But if you go to ebook.fixdeadbedrooms.com and grab my free ebook, okay, She's Made You Weak. The link's not in the description, but if you go to ebook.fixdeadbedrooms.com, you can get it. Get on my email list. If you really value the content, I'm on YouTube right now, and right now I'm also on Facebook. If you enjoy my content and you want to make sure that you continue getting this content, the only way I can ensure that you continue getting the content is if I can contact you directly. And I control my email list. I don't control these platforms. So YouTube could ban me today. Facebook could permanently ban me today. And there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, so if you enjoy this stuff, grab the free ebook at least. Okay, it's pretty good. It explains why attraction erodes over time in a long-term relationship. So if you don't know what's happening, you don't know how to defend against it. Okay, so grab that ebook. All right. Where are we at here? God, we're over an hour. I'm going to try to go through these quick. No more covert contracts. We already talked about that at the beginning. Okay, so stop giving to get. Do things because they align with your frame, not because you expect sex or validation in return. Okay. If you're doing something you don't like and you're getting frustrated because you're not getting something in return, stop doing that shit now. Just tell her, no, I'm not doing that stuff. Okay. Otherwise, do stuff because it needs to be done or because you like doing it. Otherwise, don't do it. All right. Authenticity over image. So the problem with a lot of game theory is an act, right? It's the dancing monkey. It's fucking magician shit, right? Think the book, The Game. If you ever read the book, The Game, it's a phenomenal book written by Neil Strauss years ago. And it follows around all these different pickup artists in the LA area. And my big takeaway from that book was that all these guys were really good at seducing women, getting women in bed, right? But they were targeting specific types of women, more, slooty sleuts. They were looking for women at clubs, dressing provocatively, wearing big hoop earrings and stuff like that. They weren't running game on everybody. They were running game on women that are more likely to respond to the game. And they were sleeping with these chicks, but they couldn't keep any chicks around. And it was causing them to go insane. Like, there's multiple times in the book where Mystery goes into depression, all this shit. He was chasing this one girl. He had one-itis for this one girl. Okay. So the problem with a lot of game theory is it's an act. It's not authentic. It's not who you are. And it never lasts until you can do this shit on autopilot. And that requires rewiring what's up here. Once you can truly make this a part of who you are, only then will you truly be congruent in all your words and actions. Only then will you'll effortlessly handle her tests. Only then will she truly believe this is the real you, not some dancing monkey paint by numbers bullshit. Only then will attraction be restored. Okay? Because only then will you truly be authentic. And that's the goal. Rollo calls it becoming the game. You have to get to a place where you become the game. Corey Wayne calls it becoming a 3% man. Okay. I don't have a cool term for it, but you have to make this a part of who you are. All right. By the way, if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, you can go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com for that. All right. The last two things here is, okay, Paul, you've talked about making it a part of who you are and rewiring what's up here. There's lots of different ways to do it. One of my favorite things that I still practice this stuff is daily I am affirmations, because they rewire the subconscious. Okay. And if you read them daily, in the morning and at night before you go to bed, that repetition backed by an emotion. Okay. I talked about it in depth on Tuesday's sponsored stream, so go back and listen to that. But doing it daily, it's acting with intention, and that repetition backed by emotions, reprogramming what's up here. It's seeping into your subconscious mind. Okay. Alternatively, if you don't like affirmations, if you're, a fan of Aaron Clary's and you think it's like being like Stuart Smalley or something on Saturday Night Live, alternatively, you can listen to, this book, or you can listen to this book just on audio. Okay. Just grab it on Audible. If you have an Audible subscription, it is free with one of your monthly credits. Just listen to it in the car. Listen to it at the gym. When you go for a walk, listen to it. Okay. At work, if your work allows you to put earbuds on and do your work, listen to it at work. That's what Omega's doing. Omega is a software developer. So he just puts his earbuds on. He just listens to this shit all day, every day. That's why he's knocking out like 1 or 2 books a day. It's crazy. Crazy in a good way. Now, there's something that, now this book is a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series, which R.P. Thor started before he died. This is the first book in the series. The second book in the series is called Power Frame Identity by a guy named Rafe Deantor. And I used to do live streams with Rafe. We used to do a show called The Dragon Ship, which was Thor's show. And Rafe's book, which is really good, it's a very short read. It's not on Audible, but it's a short read. He recommends creating a frame statement for yourself, a frame statement. So an example of a frame statement is writing out something like this. I am a grounded, disciplined man who moves with purpose. I don't react to emotions. I respond with calm authority. My time, attention, and energy are valuable, and I choose where they go. I lead through action, not words. I protect my peace. I pursue my mission, and I never regulate my self-respect. Whether she's warm or distant, loving or cold, my frame doesn't change because I know who I am and what I stand for. Okay. So if you write something like that, it doesn't have to be that long. Okay. But if you write something like that, write it out. Okay. At least write it out once, and then daily read it. Okay. Read it. Put it everywhere. Put it on Post-it notes. Put it where you can see it, but read that to yourself at least once or twice a day. All right. That's something else that you could do to start doing that. But that repetition, reading it daily, repetition. Okay. And reading a long statement like that, you can start to imagine the stuff. You can start to picture it in your head. That will automatically start, spiking your emotions. Because once you can imagine something, it becomes real. And when it becomes real in your brain can't tell the difference what's real or not. And you're going to feel the emotions of it already happening. Okay. You want to do that because that's what's going to seep into your subconscious. That's how you rewire what's up here. Okay. All right, guys. That's all I have for this episode. A little bit over, but that's good. Tune into the podcast on Monday. We're going to be talking about why saying no can actually strengthen your relationship. And I mentioned it before, right? If you're doing stuff for your wife, your girlfriend, you fucking hate it, and it's just building a lot of resentment because 1, you have to do something you hate, and then 2, she's not giving you anything in return. Stop that shit immediately. Tell her no. We're just going to go into depth on telling your girl no on Monday. Hope you guys like that. That's all I got. I don't see any other chats in here. Guys, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll see you on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.